Hey guys, welcome on into the Josh Reese Show. My name is Josh Reese and I am the face of Houston sports. That's right. If you want to talk about this bright, cheery, happy, smiley face, is usually the guy telling you what's going on. But today, we're going to be talking about Chris Paul and Blake Griffin opting out of their contracts with the Los Angeles Clippers and what that could mean for your hometown Houston Hoopers. But before you do that, guys, please follow my friends over at Countryside Massage here in Conroe. You can find them in the description. I put a link up there. All I'm asking is for you to give them a follow on Facebook. They would appreciate it. I would appreciate it. But enough said. Let's get into it. Reports are Chris Paul and Blake Griffin have both opted out of their contracts with the Clippers, and they will now be unrestricted free agents. Ooh boy, get ready for a lot of interesting off-season rumors. Apparently, per Chris Hines, an ESPN reporter that reports on the NBA, he shared, quote, earlier on Saturday, a serious chance to lure Chris Paul away from the Clippers, the Rockets. We'll see if that comes to action. My buddy of mine, Ben DuBose, posted on his Twitter feed. If you wanted to see what Chris Hines had to say, he screen capped it and posted it on Twitter, so you can check that out. I have been, I don't want to say anti-Chris Paul, because I did a video earlier, a week and a half ago, about Chris Paul to the Houston Rockets and how I thought that was a really silly rumor. I haven't softened my stance. I understand what the Rockets are going at. Chris Paul, generational player. And he is an amazing point guard. And for a player like that, you got to do what you can to get him. I still, to this day, see it kind of hard that he and James Harden are going to share one ball. But as I was talking with Jonathan Fagan the other day, he kind of mentioned, and it kind of opened me up to the possibility of this happening, that if that duo ever did happen between James Harden and Chris Paul, what you would see is you would see Chris Paul in total point guard mode. You would see probably a little bit less of Chris Paul, the scorer, and a lot more of Chris Paul, the distributor. Going from 10 to 9 assists a game, he could be getting 15 assists a game. And what everyone thought James Harden would eventually keep on doing for the whole year, putting up those monster assist games, Chris Paul could be doing that. So, I can see Chris Paul potentially working with the Rockets. I understand it. I just don't think it will happen. And the reason why I don't think it will happen is, well, A, Chris Paul can get a shit ton more money from the Los Angeles Clippers than he can with any other team, including Houston Rockets. I saw someone on Twitter post that he can make $205 million by maxing out with the Clippers, compared to 152 maxing out with another team. Sure, that's a shit ton of money for anybody, 152 million, but 50 extra million and an extra year of job security, guaranteed contract, potentially could get a no trade clause. That's hard to pass up. The Rockets will not be handing out a no trade clause. That's stuff they don't do. I don't even believe James Harden has a no trade clause. So seeing Chris Paul get something like that would be hard to believe. And just don't see it happening. Blake Griffin, on the other hand, he can max out with the Clippers at $175 million, and with any other team, he can get $130 million. Just makes math. Math says you make more money by staying with the team you're already currently with. And they can get a lot more money by staying with the Clippers. And no doubt Doc Rivers is going to be doing everything he humanly can to keep both those guys in with the Clippers, because if those guys leave, it's rebuild mode. There is absolutely nothing on your team left after Chris Paul and Blake Griffin leave. You've got Austin Rivers and you've got DeAndre Jordan. That right there is a 10-win team, maybe a little bit more. Certainly probably one of the worst teams in the West by far. I'm probably shortchanging them a little bit, but I can't see the Clippers mounting very much of a team without Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. I really see a hard time them leaving Los Angeles too. They seem to fit up there. And I've seen a lot of reports recently that Blake Griffin does not like Chris Paul. I don't know where this is coming from. They're all unsubstantiated rumors, just plain rumors. I doubt Blake Griffin is going to sign with the Oklahoma City Thunder just to get away from Chris Paul. No, I doubt that 100%. But one of the other places that Blake Griffin is rumored to go to is the Houston Rockets. Like with Chris Paul, I see that hard to believe. Not because because Blake Griffin and James Harden couldn't fit on the same team. More because I don't think that he can fit 100% in the offense. Now, I know everyone is like, oh my God, Blake Griffin, James Harden, Dunk City, baby. It has to happen. But one of the things that made the Houston Rockets so successful last year was space and pace. They had one center who was going up and down the floor dunking the ball. Putting Blake Griffin in the mix now with Clint Capella, that's at cross purposes. Now you've got two guys that are clogging the paint, which makes less room for James Harden. And now you're taking one guy out from the wing, which was Ryan Anderson. He's more likely going to have to be moved in this scenario to get Blake Griffin under contract. You're taking him out, putting Blake Griffin in, who is just started to shoot three-pointers. Last year, I believe he shot about 1.5 a game, and it was about 34%. And that's definitely not enough for a Mike D'Antoni offense. Maybe they can their analytics can foresee into the future that, hey, maybe Blake Griffin is a 40% three-point shooter, like we envision Ryan Anderson in this offense. Maybe I can see that happening, but I can't see the Blake Griffin that we see with the Los Angeles Clippers taking that game to the Houston Rockets. I just don't see it fitting. Maybe if he can adapt a little bit and shoot more threes, because, hey, that's just what the NBA is going to. Fours are going to have to shoot more threes. It just is what it is. If Blake Griffin can advance that way, I can see him fitting a little bit more, but I just see it too spaced here with Griffin. And I know everyone loves Blake Griffin, and just seeing that with Houston Rockets, you're just envisioning all the dunks and the lobs. Yeah, that looks great on paper. Not really sure it fits in a game plan, but who knows? The Rockets certainly know a hell of a lot more than I do. One of the things that does concern me about Blake Griffin is in the past 3 years, he's played less and less games. Played 82 3 years ago, 74 last year, and 64 just this past season. And while Blake Griffin had that one major injury when he started his career, and he's been kind of injury free since then, but these past couple seasons, I've kind of felt like, okay, when is that Blake Griffin injury going to happen? I've been kind of waiting for it, and I know I don't want to say he's injury prone, but I kind of feel like there's a Blake Griffin injury once a year that is going to keep him out of some games. And while he's still young, I believe he's 27 years old, same age as James Harden, and you would be collecting this group for a couple years to go. I just see it hard to see. I don't know, but I just wanted to bring these rumors to you, and they're not really rumors, but I just wanted to bring this to you and kind of talk about it as a group here. Get y'all's guys' thoughts. Feel free to leave them in the comments section. What y'all think would happen? Who would y'all want in Houston more? Chris Paul, Blake Griffin? I would imagine if you tell me one of those guys is coming to the Houston Rockets, I'd probably take Chris Paul over Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin, to be honest, in my opinion, he's a dunker. I find him kind of overrated. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me out there. I'd love to get y'all's opinion. Leave them in the comment section below. But like I mentioned in the video past when I was talking about Chris Paul, to bring one of these talents in, you're going to have to be getting rid of some guys. Rockets have, I believe, $10 million in cap space, something like that. I can't remember the exact number. That's probably off, but they're going to need a hell of a lot more than that. If they could find a way to trade Ryan Anderson, that would free up a ton of room for them. He's under contract next year for $18.5 million. Second after that is Eric Gordon at 12. Then you got Ariza and Lou Williams both at 7 apiece, and Patrick Beverly. Patrick Beverly might be their most lucrative asset on the team to move. Not only is he only making $5 million this year, and I believe next year, but he's also signed on. He's got bird rights too. So I believe if another team signed him and the Rockets were able to ship that off over to them, they could sign Patrick Beverly using that and get that extra year, which is all the rave in the NBA. But that's pretty much all I got on the Clippers and the potential Rockets angles. I appreciate you guys for giving this a listen, a watch. Thank you. I've got 6 things for you if you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like, feel free to share, and subscribe. I appreciate the subscribes. Also, leave me a comment. Let me know what y'all are thinking. Chris Paul, Blake Griffin. If you had to choose, who you taking? The point guard or the power forward? Who you got? Also, if this is your first time viewing these videos and you don't know who I am, please follow me on Twitter at Mr. Joshua. And lastly, follow my friends over at Countryside Massage here in Conroe. They are linked below. Guys, I'm going to bounce out of here. I appreciate you guys for giving this a watch. I'm out.